popped up right at the end of the year to just, you know, give me a little punch in the face. And just, why is it giving me a punch in the face? Basically, I enjoyed it an awful lot, and I was going for a metaphor, and you know what? It's just not worked. Hello! Hope you guys are all okay and all good. Welcome to another video and my top books of 2017. A video I'm sure you've all been longing for. Maybe, probably not. There are 10 books on this list. I'm going to record my favourite backlist books of 2017 on the same day. So it's going to be the same outfit for the next video, but that's because I wanted to include some stuff that I'd read this year that didn't get released in 2017. There's so many good books out there, but I wanted to do one that's specifically books that came out in the year of our Lord Brittany 2017. So, let's go. The first book on this list is We Come Apart by Brian Connigan and Sarah Crossan. Now, I read this at the tail end of 2016. And I still think about this book. I still think about these characters. I still love this book so very much. It's a big obsession. Definitely a big fave of the year. If you've not read it yet, I highly recommend. The paperback comes out in January or February, I think, and looks equally as stunning as this. It's so good. This tells the story of a girl called Jess and a boy called Niku who find each other in very strange circumstances. This book is told in alternating poems, so it is entirely in verse. And the main thing that I think I love about this book is the voices of the two characters. Both spring off the page and just absolutely live. I think the thing that I was worried about going into this book was that the fact I noticed quite early on when I was reading it that there aren't any signifiers for who is speaking when you are reading it. So each of the poems alternate, but you don't know who is speaking to begin with, so you have to kind of work it out at the start. And there was that tiny little worry that was wondering whether or not it was actually going to be clear throughout the book who was speaking. And holy bloody hell was it clear. The voices of these characters are so real and so tangible. I love it so very much. I waxed lyrical about this book earlier on in the year in my most anticipated reads of the year. And I really still think about these characters. I still think about this story, which is of these two kids, Jess and Niku, who are both sort of both kind of growing up and not quite trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in the world. And it's just so brilliant and so touching. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of Sarah Crossan as it is. Her book One and her book Moonrise, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, are absolute faves of mine, and I can't recommend this quite hard enough. I love it a lot. I really think you will as well. Go and check it out. All links to these books will be down in the description box below. I really recommend that you go and find out more about each and every one of them because they're all bloody brilliant. Next up, as I already said, is Moonrise by Sarah Crossan. I don't know where I have put my copy of this. I think I have lent it to a friend. Either that or I've seriously misplaced it. So I'll find out where that is at some point. But Moonrise by Sarah Crossan tells the story of a boy called Joe who is going to Texas to visit his brother on death row. Again, like with We Come Apart, like with One, this is all told in verse. So it is, the whole novel is told in verse, so it is a series of poems, and it is just, oh, the way, I don't know, there is, okay, so it's hard to really describe a novel in verse because it is so spare, and there's so, what is amazing about the way Sarah Crossan writes, because I've tried to read other novels in verse, and they've not quite worked on the same level for me, is that what she manages to put in so few words is so incredible and so just like punch in the gut, grab you by the heart, twist it, affecting. I live. It's just so amazing what she can do, and the way that she kind of cuts right into you and really gets such an amazing amount of feeling onto a page. Joe goes through the absolute ringer in this book, and from page one, you can feel the heat of everything that is happening around him. You can feel every single emotion, and it absolutely breaks you. It's so gorgeous. Also been shortlisted for the Costa Children's Book Award, which is no mean feat. I am so excited for whatever it is that Sarah Crossan is doing next. If you are yet to read a novel by Sarah Crossan, get on it. I mean, come on. She is incredible. She catches feelings and she puts them right on the page. You can't ask for more than that in a YA novel. You really can't. In any novel, you just can't ask for more than that. Amazing. Next up on this list is The Gender Games by Juno Dawson. I have talked about this book in numerous videos. I will leave a link down below to my 12 Gays of Christmas video where I talked about this book for quite a long time. It is an incredible book. It's part memoir, part guide to deconstructing the absolute horror show that is gender. For anyone who has any interest in kind of gender theory and things like that, I really recommend that you read it. Or do what I did and listen to the audiobook. I'm going to tell you a story that I've told many times before, and that is that I listened to the audiobook of this, and it is read by Juno Dawson, and anyone who knows Juno or has seen Juno at an event knows that she is an incredible storyteller. And having Juno in your ear telling you all of these stories about her life and about the things that she has experienced and the thoughts that she has on gender, it was amazing, and it was so great to have it told directly from her. She's got an incredible way of telling a story, and it's really great to listen to. So I'll leave a link to that down below. You should definitely go and listen to it or read it. Do whatever you want. Either way, it's a brilliant book. Again, a gorgeous paperback cover is coming next year, so check that out for sure. Keep saying next year, I mean this year. 2018 is here, George. Get with the program. Next up on this list we have At the Edge of the Universe by Sean David Hutchinson. Again, this is a book that I've already talked about in my 12 Days of Christmas. I've basically given myself like less of a job to do because I can just link you to other videos so you can find out more. This tells a story about two boys, Tommy and Ozzy, who are boyfriends until suddenly Tommy vanishes and just ceases to exist, and Ozzy is the only person in his town that remembers him, and he is having a hard time dealing with that. And on top of everything else, the universe is shrinking around him. Ozzy finds himself on like a desperate mission to try and find Tommy and find out where exactly Tommy has gone. Did he just imagine him? And trying to figure out what to do with his life. It's an amazing book, and Sean David Hutchinson is just incredible. Like, this is a book that I spent a long time reading. I usually read books quite fast, but this is one that I really wanted to like sit in and live in for a little bit. There's a lot of feelings in there. There's a lot to think about in this book, and it's so mind-blowing and so great. I love him a lot, and more people should be talking about Sean David Hutchinson and how incredible his writing and how incredible his books are. So this. The next book up on this list is another one that I have read only on audiobook, and that is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. Again, I have done a full video about The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee, which I will link to you in the description box below. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue is about a boy called Henry Monty Montague, who is about to go on a European tour with his best friend Percy and sister Felicity. He's a bit of a bounder and a bit of a cad, and he can't seem to keep himself to himself and ends up stealing something that he definitely should not have stolen, that sends them on something of an adventure. All the while, he is madly in love with his best friend Percy, which is a little bit complicated in the 1800s. 1800s? 1700s? Can't remember which all of a sudden. That's weird. Again, this is an amazing book. I did a full video of it for my 12 Days of Christmas, which I'll link down below, and you should definitely go and watch it. It's so much fun. It's so funny. The voice in the book is just absolutely cracking. And again, this is one that I listened to the audiobook of, and I had an amazing time listening to it. Popped up right at the end of the year. Popped up right at the end of the year to just, you know, give me a little punch in the face, and just, why is it giving me a punch in the face? Basically, I enjoyed it an awful lot, and I was going for a metaphor, and you know what? It's just not worked. It's an absolutely cracking book. It's really fun. It's really funny. Super accessible historical YA. Come through, Mackenzie Lee. Living. Excited for the sequel in 2018. It's gonna be really fun, I think, because it focuses on Felicity, and she's an amazing character, so I'm so glad we get to hear more from her. But I also hope we get to hear more from Percy and Henry, because, oh, my poor shipping heart, goddammit! The next book on this list is Release by Patrick Ness. How could this be my top books of 2017 if there was not a book by Patrick Ness on it? I feel like I talk endlessly about Patrick Ness and Patrick's books, but basically I love him and his books. He's incredible, and if you're yet to read him, oh my god, you're in for such a treat when you do start reading his books. I mean, they're all so great. I did a full video, I think, about this. I can't remember what that video was about, but I did a full video mostly about Release for my 12 Days of Christmas series. But this tells the story of one day in Adam Thorne's life. A Saturday where absolutely everything is about to change. It's brilliant, it's groundbreaking, it's freaking gorgeous. It's Patrick Ness. It made me sob, and I love it. I live for Patrick Ness, and he's bringing out a new book next year. What more could we possibly want? We're getting a brand new Patrick Ness book in 2018. So exciting. Next up on this list, we have the wonderful Truth or Dare by the wonderful Non Pratt. Double-sided book. What? I've said it once, and I will say it again, and I'll say it a million times until my throat is sore. There is no one, and I mean no one, who does voice as well as Non Pratt. I'm telling you, I don't think there is anyone who captures the teen voice in a YA novel and hits you right in the feels quite as well as Non Pratt does. Her books are amazing, like full on. Love them a lot. Truth or Dare tells the story of Claire Casey and Seth Malick, who team up in an online game of Truth or Dare, all to raise money for Seth's brother Cam, who suffered a brain injury after he fell off a bridge and into a river and now needs a whole lot of money in order to support him. The interesting part of this book is, without a shadow of doubt, the structure of it all. The way that you, I don't know whether it's the way that you should read it or the way that you do read it, but you read Claire's half first and you flip the book and then you read Seth's half of the book. So you're reading these two stories that are being told in tandem and then you kind of get them both at the end. It's so brilliant and so clever, and it's like every book that Non does is completely different, and every single one she's kind of got a different little thing that she is trying out. This in particular I think is so clever and such an interesting structure and such a great way to really play with the audience, and damn does she play with the reader. It's cracking. I really love Non. I love her books. I really recommend that you go and check her out. If you've not yet read a Non Pratt book, much like with Patrick Ness, start anyway. You're going to have a really nice time, and I'm slightly envious of you. Read any. She's amazing. Next up on this list, we have The Explorer by Katherine Rundell. The Explorer tells the story of a boy called Fred whose aeroplane crashes into the Amazon jungle, and him and 3 other children have to find a way to survive and a way to get back home. I love Katherine Rundell with my entire heart. Her book Rooftoppers is one of my most favoritist books of all time. It shook me right up and gave me all sorts of feelings. It's absolutely fabulous. If you're yet to read it, I mean, you could read, Katherine Rundell is amazing as well. Obviously all of these authors are amazing, but I love The Explorer an awful lot. I loved Rooftoppers. I really enjoyed The Wolfwilder. The Explorer, she does something, again, much like Non, she does something different in every single book, and this is so, so wonderful for so, so many reasons. It's funny, it's snarky, it's clever, it did that, I was listening to the audiobook rather than actually reading it, and it does that thing where you're listening to it and you're making all of these faces because of the things that are happening in the book. So it's one of those, it's really, I'm a really like reaction reader, like, so I'll be making faces and shock and awe, but this is one of those books that's really great for that because it really kind of twists and plays with you quite a lot. It's fun and it's funny, it's exciting, mild peril, lovely bit of middle grade, really, really great, big recommend. Penultimately on this list we have History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I have talked about this book far too much on this channel in the last year. It's amazing and it made my heart hurt, it made my body ache, everything. It gave me absolutely everything. History Is All You Left Me tells the story of a boy called Griffin who, right at the beginning of the book, is at the funeral of his ex-boyfriend Theo. Told in befores and afters, we are discovering all about the beginnings and endings of Theo and Griffin's relationship and how Griffin is now coping with it all. Spoiler, not very well. It's so sad, it's so heartbreaking, and it gave me so many feelings. I didn't know it was gonna be quite as like heart-wrenching and like sorrowful as it is. It's so beautiful, and much like with the Sean David Hutchinson, I spent a long time in this book. I definitely didn't rush myself through it. Not that I rushed myself through other books, but what I mean is I knew it was very slow. I knew I was working my way through it quite slowly, and I was kind of fine with that because I wanted to spend as much time in it as possible. I ached. Every page made me ache. Every page made me burn. It's so sad, but it's gorgeous, and I really recommend it. Yay. And last but by no means least, and who could have predicted this, is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. Oh my freaking goodness. The Hate U Give tells the story of 16-year-old Star who, right at the beginning of the book, sees her best friend Khalil get shot by a police officer when Khalil was unarmed and had done nothing wrong. This book is possibly one of the biggest YA books of the year. Possibly one of the biggest YA books of the last like 5 or 10 years. It is just... okay, where do I go? Where do I start? The voice is amazing. The voice, again, Star lives on these pages. She is 100% alive in these pages. Very excited for the film. I think it's going to be amazing. But she absolutely lives on these pages, and it's incredible reading, like so incredibly gripping, so easy to just get lost in this world and lost in these characters, and the feelings that they go through and the anger that this book will make you feel about the system and how completely messed up it is. And it's an amazing book, and it should be read by absolutely every single person. It's just so great. It was recommended to me by my friend Jess and numerous other people who have told me how incredible it is. I could not put it down for the life of me over Christmas. Absolutely not Christmas reading, but it was an amazing book, and I really recommend it. She's got a new book coming out in 2018, and god damn it, I will be first in line. I'm really looking forward to it. What a writer. The writing is just... there's something about it that is so poetic, and so... there's rhythm in it, and there's, I don't know, there's something about like the cadence of the words. If you read bits of it out loud, it sounds like it could be poetry. It's really great. Oh dear, living a little bit for this book. I really think you should check it out, and I really think you'd really enjoy it. It's absolutely stunning, and just like it's really thinky. Like, it'll give you a lot to think about. It's just brilliant. So brilliant. Come through, Angie Thomas. 2017 was her year. Seriously, read this book. It's amazing. So these right here are 7 of my favourite books of 2017. The other 3, my copies are somewhere else, but these are my favourite books of 2017. I would love to know in the comments box below what your favourite books of 2017 were. I would love to hear from you. Please leave me some comments down below. Don't forget to put a like on this video if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I love each and every one of your faces, and I will speak to you soon, I imagine. Bye!